Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of our enrollment symposium. So let's return to the field. This is our enrollment symposium as well as Mystery School, where we're sharing with you all the different offers that we have available. And today is the last day, and we're going to go all in with the last 2 offers that are open for enrollment this season, where we will be beginning classes May 15th. So today it's going to be a bit packed with information about these 2 offers that we're going to share today. So I'm really excited to have you here with me to share with you. Later on, I'm also going to bring WEF into the room, and we will share, especially for those who are at the beginning part of that healing journey and they want to know more about our membership. We will do that today. Okay. So as usual, we always begin by blessing the fields, by blessing the space. So we're gonna do that as well. So wherever you are, I invite you to join me in this prayer, this ceremonial devotional process of blessing the space, blessing the fields. So to start off, thank you all for joining this symposium. Thank you for showing up, for joining with us, for listening to what we have to share. So gratitude to you all. And we also want to thank the living source God, the eternal absolute primordial consciousness that is here with us, that we're here to invoke, that we're here to devote our lives to as Warrior Mystery School. So we are inviting that flame, that sacred flame, that holy light, that Holy Spirit into the sacred space. We are blessing the space with that divine dispensation as we reconnect with the heart, as we reconnect with the presence of God within our hearts, within our lives, as we reconnect with God within the fields. And this is the fields that include our bodies as well as the fields of our ancestors. The fields that are the lands that we all stand on today. And we are invoking that Holy Spirit to continue to cleanse, to continue to purify, to restore, and to liberate our souls, to liberate the souls of our lineages, to support us in our return to that pure eternal consciousness. And so that we may experience this while we're here on earth, we may experience heaven on earth. So inviting God to open us more and more, to open our eyes, and so that we may see not only the seen, but also the unseen, to open our ears, and so that we may hear that which goes beyond the walls that we see in front of us, and also that we may feel, right, the presence of God, the presence of light, especially on those days of darkness, on these days of confusion, of heaviness. We are inviting for that opening to continue, particularly in the heart, where we may be carrying a lot of that confusion, a lot of that grief. And so we're inviting this light, this pure light, to continue to wash us with that presence, with that support, and so that we may know that we're not walking this earth alone, that we have that divine support in the form of the luminescent light and the luminescent support team, our living ancestors of light, our angelic teams, the founder guardians, the elders of light, right? And so we are asking for that continuous support, that continuous purification, restoration, and liberation of our minds, our bodies, and our souls, our spirits. And so I invite you to Allow that light to move through the body and to move through your field and to leave behind for the next 2 hours all that you may be carrying from the week, and so that we may dance together once again in this great light, in this great song. And so may this session be blessed by that eternal light, that sacred fire of the Christ, that Christ impulse that is within us and that is all around us. And the seal of God may protect this sacred space that we're in as we resurrect the seal of the Christ and the seal of Gaia Sophia. And so it is, and so it is done. Amen. Marcos. Yes. Today, I want us to begin with a little bit of a story. It's a story and also a reading at the same time that I want to share with you about this theme of purification and this theme of restoration and liberation, but in particular, purification through the ways of water, right? When I started my journey, I always associated myself with the mountains. And yeah, always felt like I'm more of like a warrior who's ready to go to battle, and more of like a fire being connected more to the fire, right? It was through later understanding that there's also the way in which water communes with me. There's also a way in which I am a water being. So some of you who are here may be those water beings, and the offer that I want to share with you today is connected to that. We will also have a bit of an activation with water, which I call the ways of water. Just a brief one after I've shared, just to support you in reconnecting with your waters, if maybe for whatever reason you may be disconnected to that. Right. So we are definitely in the times of the water bearers. This is the age of Aquarius that we are entering. It's also, in a way, the return of the Holy Mother and the return of the Goddess, right? We have been with God in this patriarchal world, and it was the time for that, but now we're moving into this new energy, right? Some people call that the rise of the divine feminine, right? But this rise of the divine feminine, it's communicating and working through each one of us in different ways, right? And they are those beings that I call the water bearers, who are being called by the Holy Mother, the Aqua Mothers, the goddess. And I want to share a little bit about that. And if you are called to that, then you perhaps may be called to this offer that we have. So this offer came to me very from a very deep state, where I had an encounter with the Aqua Mother, who came and shared with me that it is time for the water bearers to wake up, right? For them to return. And I mean, at the time, I was like, I do not think I'm the right person to be talking to about the water bearers, because I'm not a water bearer myself. And it was illuminated to me that I am and have always been, right? So I want to share this transmission that you will find in our landing page that's speaking about this. And I want to explain a little bit more about what I wrote here, so you can understand and you can hear even more if you listen, right? So the Asian water bearers. In the beginning of our current epoch, after that still night of Atlantis, when the world went to sleep. It was the ancient water bearers who woke and weaved the first light. With the memories of ancient future sealed in the first light as prophecy of the time ahead, the ancient water bearers rose from the core of the primordial mother portals, from the different sacred directions of the water world, with their cosmic memory weaved in their living waters. I want to pause here to just explain a little bit of what I just said in normal English. So in the fields, as we're returning to the fields, we've been talking a lot about the greater event that's happening, right? And we spoke in day one about the epochs and that we are moving to another epoch. We're at the almost the end of that, and that we came from another one before this one. And when we moved to this one, there was a cleansing, a purification so that we can restart, right? The great resets, we call them that, right? So the epoch before this one is the epoch of Atlantis, right? You may know the mythologies of Atlantis. It is possible that the name for Atlantis was not Atlantis, it was something different, but as of now, we use the word Atlantis to represent that epoch. And as we recall, I will also use the Bible as a reference. The time of Noah's Ark, that was a symbolism of the end of that epoch. When an epoch ends, there's always a cleansing either by water or by fire. So in the last epoch, it was water. So that's the great flood, right? And when that water came and cleansed the world after that went to sleep, right? And then we kind of skip the story and we find ourselves here, right? There isn't much about then what happened. Immediately after the world was sleeping, how did it wake up, right? The world was woken up by the Asian water bearers. And these Asian water bearers, they brought what is called first light by the Aqua Mother. That's what they called it when they were sharing this with me. They brought almost like a new sun, a new light into our world for this life that we see all around us, for this planet that we are experiencing to begin to grow again, to wake up again so that we can come and experience life here on earth. So it was the Asian water bearers to try to even explain how this process was, how I remembered this, because it's about really me remembering this more than anything. Like, I don't think I have the words to really describe this moment when the water bearers came with the first light. And that first light was holding prophecy, the prophecy of this time, this current time, what's going to unfold the next 2,000 years, more than 2,000 years, because we've been here for almost 1,000,000 years in this epoch, right? A really long time. So that light had all the potential timelines that may happen. So the prophecies of what will happen, right? So this is how prophecy is actually seen by healers, right? It is through the water. The water holds not only the memory of the past, but the memory of the future. So why there is different forms of prophecies, from spiritual prophecies, biblical prophecies, that tend to actually coincide. If you look through Asian mystery teachings or spiritual literature, you find that prophecies have always been spoken about across the ages, right? And often some of those prophecies do happen as predicted by the prophets of the time, the messengers of God, right? And a lot of the time, the messages of gods or the prophets or the shamans or the oracles or the priest or the priestesses, it's just already the same things, just done from a different concept, from a different angle. How they are able to do this is that they do this through water. And that's the water in their body and the water that is in the field, right? And they can read and map these waters. And in fact, when you go to a healer and they are mapping things for you, they are reading things for you, they are often reading your waters. And your what, because we are water beings, we're 70% water, they say that, but where we come from is the primordial mother portal, right? So water bearers are these beings who were here at that first light. And these are also beings who come from the water worlds, right? Because we come from different worlds. So this is why we are not the same and we don't express ourselves the same. We are from the same source, but our origins in terms of our celestial or cosmic origins, our lineages, they're from different worlds, right? And that's just an expression of diversity, right? So water bearers hold this memory that I'm talking about. And they may either be a resonance with you already as you hear this, or you're just like, what? That's also fine. Because as for me as well, when I was remembering this, it was more of like the what, right? So this cosmic memory, like what I'm talking about, it's never lost. The memories of your lineage, they're never lost. They're always stored within you, right? They're often weaved in your living waters. And the living waters as the holy ocean that is blood and the vast river that is emotions. And this is why the conversation of blood, is an important conversation for us when we're talking about lineage work, because blood holds our waters. Blood also connects us to time that is in the past and time that is in the future from our vantage point, right? But also emotions. If you've ever watched a lot of the sci-fi shows, there's this show that stayed with me, Fringe. I don't know if you've ever watched that show. In Fringe, I really can't really explain what was happening there, but there's this future race that is interested in changing things, and that's studying human beings. And what that studying is the influence of emotions in human beings. And in fact, they had come back because they had made a mistake in the future of removing emotions in the species, and now the species was almost dying because emotions are important. Right? That's what makes us human. And this conversation of like healing has a lot to do with these emotions, right? So the water bearers, they have that deep connection to the waters, which is blood and emotions. So in the transmission, I shared that these ancient water bearers are the children of the waters, who are here to be the cosmic infiltration systems for the clearing of blood, genetic, ancestral, and planetary lineages or lines that are held in the elemental bodies, particularly the emotional plasma body. Through their living waters, they're here to cleanse out the genetic DNA infections from hyperdimensional forces and phantom timelines and pave new pathway for the plasma body and DNA of our lineages. So I want to have a different conversation. What I missed to school is having a different conversation of really understanding really what we mean by we're healing our bloodlines and our lineages, right? And what are we really healing in the blood, in the DNA, in the genetics? Right? We are healing our waters. We are healing the elements. We are healing the fire, the air, the earth, the water, and the spirit, particularly those that got contaminated by being in this planet where we have forgotten who we are and where we come from. The more we are here, the more we disconnect, the more we are pulled more and more into the darkness, to forgetfulness, right? And the more we start to create a world that we are seeing, a world of suffering, of scarcity, of death culture, as we shared on Monday. So, water bearers, if you're a water bearer, you are almost like a filtration system. You can filter out this contamination that is in the blood. You have the ability to do that. You do that already with your body. Right. And this is why water bearers are important, right? Um, they can purify the DNA, they can purify the emotional body. Right. So there is obviously fancy way of actually actively doing this, which is what we'll be doing in the workshop. But if you're a water bearer, you are already doing what I'm doing, maybe not at the level and the higher capacity that you're actually able to, because maybe you haven't yet realized that you're a water bearer and you haven't yet learned how to work with the waters, with the living waters, to purify your emotional body and the DNA of your lineage in the fields, right? You have the ability to perform energetic transmutation of karmic miasma, like all this karma that we see playing out in our lineages. You can transmute that, right? And you do this through plasma DNA, water codes, and aligning with the aqua mother crystalline field. This is such fancy English, I know. And all that is the pure essence frequencies. It's fancy English, but this is what I was told to write, because this is what is called a code. Right? That sometimes when you interact with information like this and you can feel your brain feeling like, I can't process this, but something is happening, you start to feel sensation in the body, there is an activation. You begin, some part of you, dormant part of you begins to wake up, because the way that I am writing right now, this is how a 12-year-old in ancient times used to write, right? This information used to be known in our lineages. So we are returning to this. It sounds like new language, but it's ancient language, really. Right. So the way in which we're here to heal, it's not just about physical healing where we go to the waters, physical waters, which is a huge part of that, of course. And we cleanse ourselves. At that level, usually when we go to the waters or the mountains, or you go to a healer to cleanse you, it typically means we don't have the capacity ourselves, we don't have enough strength to cleanse and purify the blood. So we need an extra support, right? And so that's why we will go to the mountains and the hills and the waters, right? Because they're potent. But one of the things that is really important to understand is that human beings are the most powerful technology that we have here, right? Your body in particular, the living waters within you, they are as we cannot even comprehend what they're able to do, right? So often we look outside ourselves for healing. We want to go to the water to feel like there was a real purification. So I'm here to say there is so much more in your own waters right now, right? In your own blood, in plasma DNA. Inside your DNA, there is water, which we call plasma, right? It's this crystal-like water that's inside the DNA that has the ability to transmute and heal any ailments that we have, right? And then there are these water codes. Water speaks to us. This is why water gives us prophecy, right? So this is why, of course, if you are connected to the water, you may find yourself dreaming of these water bodies. These are codes that you are being given, right? And a lot of water bearers are disconnected from their memories of the water and what the water languages are, the water maps are, all the prophecies of the waters. But it's just a forgetfulness. When we begin to remember, it starts to be very clear to us, right? We start to hear the waters more. So the ancient water bearers, they're able to access and map the living waters, right? Which hold emotions and memories. This makes them exceptional prophets, high priests and priestesses, oracles, and water healers who are able to perceive and weave the ancient future timelines using the water maps. Right. Through their multidimensional gifts, they can command and anchor new timelines for themselves, their lineages, and those that are called to liberate. So definitely, as I've mentioned, some of the most exceptional prophets are water bearers, right? Because they are able to connect with a greater body, which is the water, right? And think about it this way, that if human beings are 70% water, even the earth is 70% water, if you are able to connect with these waters and hear their language, understand what they're trying to communicate, that means you could purify the body because it's 70% water. You can command and work with the water, direct the water to heal certain things in the body. That's what a lot of water healers are doing. Here's the thing, you may be listening to this and think that, oh, I've never really seen a water healer, but you are constantly connecting with them. Or you may think you are not a water healer when you are possibly already doing this work that I'm talking about. Right. One of the ways in which you know that you are a water bearer is that you find yourself drawn to water bodies, right? The ocean, the rivers, all the sacred wells. There's just a way in which you feel pulled and connected to these water bodies. And it doesn't always mean there is like a love. Sometimes there's even a fear whenever you see these bodies. You know, there may be a longing to go to the water. There may be a fear when you see the water, and maybe even trauma connected to the water, right? But there is something about the water, they call you, right? Another way that you know that you are a water bearer is that you will have these epic dreams, spiritual visions, these encounters with water bodies, with water spirits, with water worlds, right? There's a part of you that remembers the flood when that cleansing happened at the last epoch in Atlantis. You may remember that, and you may have, like, throughout your life had dreams about these great floods, right? It's that memory in you that is, being shown to you over and over, trying to awaken you, trying to help you remember that you can hear the water, you can speak to the waters, right? And a lot of the time, if that's you, you find that naturally you have this ancient wisdom, and often really good with prayer. Often, like, people, when they come, they feel that sense of like, I just feel so much lighter after talking to you. All right, that's the water bearers. Let me know if this is connecting with you in the chat. What is speaking to you? So one of the very clear reflection blueprint of a water bearer is that they can really feel what other people are feeling, like what we will call the empath, right? We are so attuned to other people's waters because waters are their emotions, that we can feel when someone is not doing great, right? And we it doesn't even have to be someone that we are connected to or related to. Even just sometimes encountering someone on social media, a story on social media, it can literally make you feel emotions or sensations in the body, right? And sometimes you can even cry just hearing someone's story, because our waters are connected through the field, right? So what another person's suffering, it's something you can feel, because it is all part of one big water of our earth, right? So for you, you may find that you cry a lot, right? And that's because you're responding to water. And sometimes that crying is you purifying and cleansing the pain that you are feeling, whether it's your pain or someone else's pain. Right? And another thing that you may not be aware of is that you actually also affect the waters. You deeply affect the water, meaning your own waters, you know. So if whatever emotion you could be feeling, it can greatly change everything for you. All right. So this is where you'll be told that you are intense because of that, like any shifts within yourself affect the waters within you as well as the waters outside as well. But also water responds to you. If you went to the rivers, you may hear the waters responding to you as well, right? So one of the ways in which this response, you can see yourself like being drawn to tea, being drawn to um, uh, cleansing bath, you know, water activation, water prayers, all of these, they really just, yeah, they have this like impact in your body, right? And um, in the land as well, in the fields as well. Right. So you're holding this huge water code, right? And most people, they get really overwhelmed by being water bearers. Um, my when I was unaware that I'm a water bearer, like my life used to be where if I spend like more than an hour around people, I would feel really drained, you know. Now I'll need more time to recuperate. What was happening was that I was feeling that waters, right? So in communicating with someone, I can instantly feel what's actually really happening in that water body, right? And of course that is helpful when I am in the healing room, but outside not so much, right? And one of the other ways, later on, I didn't realize like that was a water code in the beginning. When I started to map for others, 5 minutes into the session, I would start to feel heavy in the body, in different parts of the body, feel really weak, you know. And later on, I started to realize, oh, the waters are telling me what is wrong with the person that I'm having a session with. So that's how I'll be able to map. And people will be like, oh, how did you know? Because the waters don't lie. The waters, once you start to understand that language, they will show you what is really happening. Right? So for me, my work has a lot to do with the waters, with connecting with other people's waters and hearing what the waters are telling me, and even the solution, like what is the antidote, what is the medicine for this person. The waters will show me what that is. Right? So there are many sessions I've done where I didn't know how to solve that problem, but the waters would show me how to do it. Right? And it wasn't this big event where I'm like, oh, the waters are speaking to me, like, and I can hear their voice. No. It's something that in retrospect I realized, oh, that's what was happening. I would just feel things and I would have instant knowing of what to do, which is what we will call ancient wisdom, right? And that instant knowing, it means you have remembered because the waters show you the truth. They release the part of you that is in amnesia, in forgetfulness, right? So the water bearers is definitely this very powerful, profound calling. If you have that calling, it can be overwhelming if you don't understand it. And sometimes, we don't know how to really navigate um, being called by the water. So one last part, and then I'll come to your questions. In ancient mysticism, right, in the great literatures of mysticism, it was known that when the cosmic clock turned again to usher the constellation of Aquarius, it will be the Asian water bearers who will usher the first light again. It is the Asian water bearers who will return the cosmic memories of the Asian future through their water bodies into the seeding of a new timeline, a new earth. The cosmic clock has turned now. It is time for the return of the Asian water bearers. So, I once had someone ask, like, Joy, how do you know all these things? How do all these prophets know these things? Because there is a cosmic map that human beings are given, right? And this map, you can learn to read this map. Our ancestors knew how to read these maps, right? Which was what we are also doing in Wara Mystery School. We are learning and teaching and guiding and supporting you in reading the cosmic maps, right? So in the cosmic maps, there's also what is called a cosmic clock. And things seem to be happening randomly to us, but they're not. There is a literal timeline, a clock that says this is when this will happen, this is when this will happen, and this is when. And you can study this, and you can get to know this, right? So when the clock turned, as it's turning now, as it has turned now, and we started to align in the great cosmos with Aquarius, the constellation of Aquarius, which is the constellation of the water bearers. That reflects that it's time that they wake up again, right? If you have forgotten that you are a water bearer, you don't even understand the great role that you are playing now, it's time for you to begin to remember. Of course, it's a lifelong journey to remember your water bearer and to even know how to do the work of water bearing. But if you're here and you're listening and there's that resonance, this is definitely a beginning for you, right? To return to the memory, this cosmic memory of what you are really here to do, why you feel as deeply as you do, as intensely as you do, and how to actually work with that instead of being overwhelmed and feeling helpless with all the emotions and not knowing what to do, right? It's time to wake up, to return, and to begin receiving guidance and mentorship on what to do as an Asian water bearer, right? Because the thing is, we are all working together and we may not know it. So if we're Asian water bearers, there is a new light that we need to be bringing back. But that requires that we wake up and we become aware of what we're here to do. And the waking up and what we're here to do, by the way, is not necessarily something physical. It's something that we're doing in the unseen realm. But you have to become aware that you are participating in that. When we go to sleep, many of us are not just going to sleep. Many of us are continuing our other lives, our other roles, our other assignments in the dream world, right? And it is there where we are doing things that are changing things here. So water bearers right now, they are weaving the next light, and we need to wake up. You may be already doing this, but you are not consciously aware that you are. So when the guardians, the aqua mothers came and they told me that it's time I wake the Asian water bearers and I guide them into remembering who they are. I was like, oh my God, that sounds like a big job. And this is such a sacred offering that even in the landing page, I've written that you have to listen to your own being. And if it calls you, definitely then come join us, right? It's so sacred that I feel like, yeah, I don't even know how to fully share it with others. But all I can do is read and share and invite you to this space. And if it feels like, okay, this is your next step, or you feel like you want to learn more, then definitely you can apply for this offering, right? Because it's time, right? Yes, so Mbali, you're saying the call of the water through fear of water bodies and not knowing how to overcome the fear is so disheartening. Yes, a lot of the time, Mbali, it's actually connected to a greater memory of having been there during the Great Flood and witnessing the disintegration of our world, all the continents and civilization that were destroyed by that great flood. Many of us carry that memory, and it's such a deep, heavy memory that we instantly feel like the water has that, ability to destroy us. I mean, it even doesn't even, we don't even have to go back to the great flood. Some of us were even connected to the ancestors who were taken across the waters, the seas, and they died on their way there. Like that also memory is held within you. So this is why, there's that kind of like cultural joke about like how black people are afraid of the waters because we know what happened to our ancestors. That's a very real thing. Like the body is so much vaster than we realize, particularly the emotional body. It remembers everything of human history. And so when you find yourself just like, I don't know why I'm afraid of this, I've never really had a traumatic event with the water in this lifetime, but from as long as I've been here, I've always just been afraid of the water, right? And of course, it doesn't also help that the truth is the mysteries of the waters are so vast, and that's what we are awakening to, and we'll be sharing and exploring this in the Water Bearer workshop series. It's because, yeah, there is so much about the waters, so much mystery that is so profound. And then there's also, of course, the way in which the waters have been manipulated in our world. The When we are not able to purify, we go on the other side, and that creates a distortion, right? So, I know in the collective, there's a fear, for example, of water spirits and water entities, marine spirits, which is a valid fear to have in the sense of like there is the truth of the dark and the light of the waters. But we first, before we allow fear to overtake us, we should have that curiosity to understand what happened and what has led to this fear, right? And also understand what's actually creating that, what created the marine spirits, what created this, and is there a way to purify that? So the invitation with the water bearers is to actually come and deal with that fear, to figure out why is it there and how can you heal it and purify it so you can receive the true codes, the true water codes that wants to come through you. I hope that makes sense. Yes, okay. Is there a connection between being a water bearer and heavy energy periods? Definitely, because uh, heavy periods is connected to blood, right? So there is when we have those heavy periods, there is a trauma that the womb and the blood is holding, right? And it's manifesting as that heaviness, that heavy flow, right? And even period pains as well. There is a greater painful memory connected to why we even have period pains as women. But it's definitely connected to the water bearers. I find that a lot of water bearers do have a lot of issues with the womb, have issues with that period as you're sharing. And that's because we are doing filtration, we're filtering things out, but often we don't know that that's what we're doing, and so we don't know how to actively work with this code to cleanse and purify ourselves so we can purify the collective women, folks, and the trauma that has happened to our womb, to our blood, as the feminine, right? So this is also what we'll be looking into, the traumas that we also hold as water bearers, right? So the water bearers, it's so special and so profound that the format for it will be that we will be having a full day working with the waters. There will be water mapping, learning to read your waters, understand them, understanding your origins, and like all of these trauma stories as well. There's also activating the plasma DNA to heal the DNA, the blood, the genetics, your lineage field. And there's also learning how to do a simple way is to say prophecy, reading the timelines through water, right? For those who are called to that art form, right? So even if you're not called to it, even if you're like, I'm not trying to be a water healer, it is very helpful because whether you know it or not, you are already doing this. And that's why you may be like, I see things and then they happen a couple of days later. What do I do? How do I, like, I don't know. I feel so helpless, right? So this is what we're doing with the water bearers. 1 month, 1 day, full day in May, and we will be learning a theme of the waters. The next month we'll come again together as a collective and we'll do the next one and then come back again in the last month. So it's a 3-part workshop series, and there will be water rides that you'll be doing in between each session. So yeah, because it's like a very intense awakening, it could not be like a weekly thing because it would be very overwhelming, but once a month it will be very important and life-changing for you. So if you are really feeling called to this, you can check out the water bearers and apply for this offering. Okay, so let me know if you have any question. What I want to do is just help us, for those who are here and who are feeling connected to this, to connect with the waters right now. So you're welcome, Zanele. So we're going to do that in a minute. Taking a deep breath wherever you are. And begin to take a deep, deep breath into the body, bringing hand to heart, hand to womb, sacral center. And I want you, as you hear the waters in the background, to drop into your waters, to listen to the waters in your body, to feel the flow of the ocean that is your blood. To feel the flow that is the river, that is your emotional body. And see the waters moving throughout the physical body. And listen to the waters. Listen to the way of waters that are within you, your living waters. And begin to go to the vast ocean of your blood. And here in the blood, Go to the smallest aspect of the blood, the DNA. And here we're talking the quantum DNA that is invisible to the eye. Here in the DNA is all memory, connecting to the plasma in the DNA. As you begin to see the light, a golden sun light inside the DNA, illuminating your DNA. And seeing the water, the state of the water held in the DNA, which is the waters of your ancestors. And breathe as you begin to move the waters, imagining that with your hands you can direct the waters. And you can direct the light to purify the waters. Allowing the sun to cleanse all those unprocessed emotions. And directing these out of the body into the earth. All the parts of the waters that are contaminated, sending them down to the earth. All the unprocessed emotions, beginning with your own emotions, sending them out, allowing the light as you move them with your own hands, with your own direction. Understanding that you can swim through the mire of grief. You can swim through the mire of pain, of depression, of anxiety, of overwhelm. You can move through any state of suffering that you are in. You can allow the morning in the body, allow the sun to move these waters. And begin to awaken your water body. Beginning to see every part of your body turning into water. Becoming one with the plasma waters of your DNA. And seeing yourself dancing in your water form. And seeing how vast you are as you connect yourself to the different water bodies, the oceans and the rivers of this collective field of Gaia. seeing how you are connected to these bigger bodies of the waters. And beginning to allow the greater bodies to recharge you, to support you in purifying even more and more of yourself, more and more of your inner waters, your emotional body. Feeling the flow of the greater oceans, greater rivers, purifying your own body, and beginning to go into the fields of your lineage. These greater bodies of light purifying your lineage. I'm continuing to see the sun, continuing to direct the waters. And you may begin to move your hands now to where there is pain held in the physical body and direct the waters to that part of the body. Beautiful. And beginning to now expand as the water being that you are, expanding up all the way to the great central sun, to our sun and to the greater sun of our galactic world, our cosmic universal system, our never done universe. Feeling the luminescent waters within the sun, recharging you even more and more, purifying you and awakening your greater waters even more and more. Allowing that water from the great central sun to flow all the way down through your water body, all the way to the physical body, all the way to the great field of your lineage. And this golden crystalline light is the impulse of the cosmic Christ. Let it heal you, let it heal your lineage. And let it awaken the ancient prophecy of your soul as you begin to remember why you are here. And allow that memory to flow back into the blood, into the DNA, throughout all the parts of you that is water. And let yourself see the steps to this prophecy. The choices to make to move your water further and further to a state of purification, of restoration, of liberation. And let that settle, not just as a prophecy, but a promise to yourself and a promise to the fields of your ancestors, that you will take one step closer and closer to that state of liberation. And bringing back all of yourself back to the heart, from the earth, from the rivers, the ocean, returning back from the great central sun, all the trinities of the sun, returning back to yourself and feeling the light within you, and feeling the luminescent waters now wide awake. As you remember now, and allowing this to ground into the earth, bringing your hands to the earth, if not the earth, to your earth body, as we hear the waves of water, we honor our great capacity to feel, and we understand this as medicine for our souls and medicine for the souls of our ancestors. We understand this as the return of the goddess, the Holy Mother. And we understand that this return is happening through us. The return of the Aqua Mother, the Divine Mothers, the Divine Feminine. We are the ancient water bearers, and we will walk the way of the waters with greater understanding and remembrance, and we will continue to remember and remember until we remember how to weave the waters as those who are here to weave them. And so it is, and so it will be so. Ashe, Makosi, Lesedi, Amen. Can slowly come back. Okay. So if you are just, still feeling the activation, you can take 5 minutes and rejoin us as we step into the last part of our symposium today. And this is for a different entire offering that we do have that I'm really excited to share about with Waf Xavier, who's here with me today.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
Hello.
Glad to share.
Yes. So we are going to be sharing about Lineage Liberators membership. A lot of our offers have the word Lineage in the beginning because it's the core of the work that we're doing. But yeah, this membership is different. It's very special as well, and it's a continuation of the work that me and wife, we've been doing this work for 1 year with the current cohort of Warrior Mystery School, and this cohort will be ending in July. So we're going to be taking this current offering and changing it into the membership, which we're going to share about. We are co-facilitating this offer, and Wef has a lot to share about this because he had a huge influence in curating this new iteration, new form of this offer. Yes, Wef, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll just start off by saying that this is honestly a labor of love of something that I felt was needed and lacking in terms of the spiritual community, as well as just in general when people are going through their own spiritual evolution. So the intent with this was to create a container and a space for individuals that are going through their own healing process, but are not necessarily seeking to become active healers, right? A lot of things have shifted with Warrior Mystery School and with the rebranding to where there is a lot of focus on programs for healers and for particular paths of that, but this is the shifting of the previous iteration of Warrior Mystery School. And it's more focused on the community aspect, and it's also focused on the understanding that spiritual evolution is not a one and done process. Along my own personal spiritual journey, there were numerous times where I felt like it would have been a great benefit for me to have a community of people that I can check notes with, guidance from other people that have been through things that I've been through, and also peers to kind of reflect with. A lot of times when we're going through our own evolution, sometimes we think there's a certain level of doubt, certain level of hesitation of, am I imagining this? I must be hallucinating things. But when you have other people around you verifying similar experiences and adding their own perspective, it helps in a immense way in terms of the healing and the overall acceptance. Another issue I've noticed is a lot of the moment someone decides to take their emotional, mental, spiritual health seriously, there's this withdrawal from society, right? So that withdrawal is important, but a lot of times we get stuck in that withdrawal to where we feel like we don't have friends, we don't have people that we can talk to, people that we can open up with and be honest, because as we're going through this evolution, we're realizing things about ourselves are beginning to change and shift. So with all that in mind, that was my intent with Joy, being aware that the current iteration of Warrior Mystery School, from my aspect of just working there with her for this year, it's very much based on the community aspect. There's a lot of beneficial information that comes through in class, through the modules, through the master classes. But one of the things that shines through for a lot of people is knowing that they have a support system of people that they can discuss things with. So as Joy shifted and changed the brand and the different models, I wanted to do my best to still make a container for people that, again, weren't necessarily trying to be professional healers, but still wanted the support. And even if you are a professional healer, having the support system of people to converse with and feel like you're not alone and be able to go on this journey together was the whole aspect for that. So with that being said, at different times when we were creating this, I was trying to find a most beneficial way to create a container that still evolves around many different learning perceptions. All right, all of us learn differently. Certain things stick better with other things. So with that being said, we created different templates in this container that will allow you to experience your own spiritual journey in different ways that are more beneficial to a particular learning style and then another style as well. So with that, Joe, I'm going to hand it back to you to kind of open up about the liberation ceremony aspect of the program, and I can expand further.
Yeah. So yeah, as wife has already shared, initially my focus was on the healers because I was seeing a huge gap in that. So there's a moment in our current cohort session when we started doing the ancestral lineage healing part, and just really the response from our students was just really heartwarming, powerful, but also reaffirming that the initial form of what I missed to school, even though it has expanded, was always important. It was always aligned with the community and what we all need. And it's what WEF has already shared, the community to walk this journey with others, to have guidance, to have mentorship when we're confused, when we're overwhelmed, and so forth. Right. So for me, and when I started what I missed to school in 2020, I wanted to create a space where we can do intensive healing, but in community. And that healing was on healing the inner child, all the experiences that we go through in our childhood. I could see that there's a gap with that. Having a background in psychology was always like my first default is to look into our childhood as a pathway to understand our spiritual journeys, our spiritual healing as well. So when I started this in 2020, we were focusing on the inner child. We're also focusing on the soul as well, bringing more understanding of the soul and helping the soul heal and embody our soul self, our soul aspect, our soul light. And then the last part was, it wasn't the last part. The third part was on ancestral healing or lineage work, right? And the next part was really going deeper into God, the conversation of our God wound or primordial wound, our relationship with this greater cosmic awareness. Right? So these four aspects are the things that we are addressing in what I missed to school, and we will continue to address them as well in the membership. Right? But we're going to do this in a different format. So the first format to note would be that all the teachings, the particular teachings will be available, the archive from this year's teachings and the last year will be available, and you'll be having access to those teachings to study them by yourself through the master classes that we've been doing all this time and going through the activations, the journeys, the healing processes. This will be done through your own self, like you'll be doing this as an empowered being, right? We are still doing the theme of liberation, helping ourselves liberate ourselves from our suffering, from death culture, as we've been talking about, right? So anyone who steps into this process of healing for us, they are a lineage liberator, because lineage is not just about our ancestry, it's also the collective human race, and any healing is often so much bigger than ourselves, right? So this is why it's called Lineage Liberator membership. It's a membership because we're all coming together to heal in community. So there will be aspects where you will self-study. Every month you have 2 master classes and journeys to go through by yourself. And then we will have live events that we will be doing every month. And these live events, I'll share the first one, and then Wef can share the other ones that he'll be curating and facilitating. So the first activity event will be the Liberator ceremonies that we'll have every month. That's similar to the liberation experience we did yesterday. If you were here, these are like 1 hour processes where we are really going deep into healing the different aspects of ourselves. And every month I will take you through a live event of that, of healing and liberating yourself, whether that's with your inner child, your emotions, your mother wound, your father wound. They will be themed according to the curriculum of the membership, which is similar to the same curriculum of previous cohorts, except we're doing it differently, which is the exciting thing. But so the liberation experience would be bringing that every month to support you. For those who are like, oh, Joy, I don't like to study by myself, you will still have that space to still heal and focus and receive that extra support, right? And then the other events, Wef is going to share the next events that we will have that will be part of the membership.
Yes, thanks, Joyce. So first, I want to reiterate what you said. The Liberators membership is all about, I think the description says, wielding your own sword of sovereignty. So that aspect is about, even though you're on your own spiritual evolution, you do have to take responsibility, hold yourself accountable, as Joyce said, for the 2 modules that are unlocked every month for the membership. But we still want to add the aspect of knowing that you're alone, but not alone, right? You have a community of other people going through the same experience. This is all about understanding how to wield your true infinite divine power that dwells within you. So all of the activations, all of the modules, all the journeys, all the healing sessions that we make available, they're all cultivating that power that dwells within. So with that, as she said, the liberation ceremony, we also, for me, I also want to make it fun and enjoyable in terms of not feeling so, a lot of times people associate spiritual evolution healing with a certain level of density, like it has to be hard, it has to be cumbersome, it has to be something challenging. So some of the things that I've incorporated deal with things that most people would look forward to, right? We have something involving movie night where once a month, we'll pick a certain movie and members have to review the movie. And then before you review the movie, we'll give certain topics on things to look for in terms of symbolic things that happen in the movie and how you can interpret that when you watch it, as well as how you can apply that to your own spiritual evolution, right? So it could be a full movie, it could be a clip, but we'll assign it and then you can break off and just study it. And this is leading to the second aspect of the membership, which also includes dream campouts. Typically once a month, we'll do a dream camp out where we have an activation the night before, where whatever module we're on that particular time, we'll be focusing on that topic, focusing on any type of clearing or healing that needs to happen. And then we'll, again, get on live briefly. And then once we do the activation, it's time for everyone to go to sleep. And then that following day, either in the morning or in the evening, we'll get together and people will have a chance to reflect on the dreams that they had, their experiences, and briefly kind of converse with each other. again, and this will be helpful in the sense of why we do the movie night, because a lot of times in movies, the symbolism that plays in the movies is symbolic of how we interpret our dreams. But a lot of times when you're interpreting dreams and you're not used to the symbolism of how particular characters can just represent certain types of energies or certain things that you're moving through, that's why the dream camp outs are important. And also, again, dreams are a wonderful way to begin healing and getting higher dimensional realm experiences and being able to anchor in different aspects of that as well. Along with that, we have game night, which is, I like to call it healing game night, which focuses on the aspect of pretty much, to a degree, it's charades, but it's beginning to cultivate the imaginative muscle that we used as children, the same imaginative muscle that everyone tapped into when Joy did the wonderful journey she did. She began, again, all of us that had this experience is based on the capability to cultivate your inner imagination muscle, begin to use visualization. So the gaming healing night will do different scenes that will require people to break up in groups and teams to where you get to experience healing from a very not so three-dimensional aspect, but more imaginative and fun, allowing your inner child to be healed while we're going through this process. Again, it will always relate to whatever module we're doing, but it will also allow you to loosen up. A lot of times when we're so closed up and dense, it's hard for us to really see our own flaws, but being able to begin to laugh at yourself, not take things so seriously all the time, ironically has a huge benefit with the heart of opening up and learning to surrender and be more vulnerable to people and others, and know that you're loved and supported. Joy, I'm going to pass it to you because I think you talked about another aspect that was called book reading club. And then I can touch on the live Q&A.
Yeah. So yes, so for us, what we're really trying to do is to really cultivate what we call noble sovereignty, right? And noble sovereignty is understanding that the power is already with you and that you are already holding everything that you need to direct your healing, to direct the liberation of your soul, of your lineage. Right? So all these activities, they may sound like it's just all fun, but they will be curated in a way that will be able to support you to wield this sovereignty, to be in control of your spiritual journey, right? To be discerning, to be the warrior that you are, right? So we will be using these tools to also cultivate community and to cultivate, sisterhoods and brotherhoods as we're doing these activities together. So one of the questions that I always received is always about like the books and people being interested in reading books that are helpful in our spiritual evolution, in cultivating spiritual gnosis. So we will be having a book club. So all these activities, it doesn't mean every month we will be doing them, but there will be at least 4 or so activities every month, and that we would change them as we go, just depending on the flow of the community. So one of those other events will be book club, where we'll be reading a book probably for a month or 2 months, depending on how big the book is, and we're coming together um, to contemplate together about the teachings of the book, whatever the book will be. All this book, of course, will be spiritual. They will have the theme of spirituality, of evolution, of psychological healing, noble sovereignty. What it will also often be in alignment with the curriculum, the theme, whether we are working on the inner child. So we'll be reading books connected to that to help us really integrate even more what we're learning, right, in all levels. And this is what's important for us in what I used to call the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual have to come together for an embodied healing to take place. So if you just go through a cleanse but you don't understand what was happening, it's almost counterproductive. So this is what we're trying to cultivate, a healing that's happening in all levels of the self. Right? So book club is an example of that. that we will be doing. And as we go along, there may even be other activities that we come up with, other activities that the community can even recommend that we will integrate into Warrior Mistress Call. Yes, so the last part is the Q&A, which is very important. We'll share a little bit about that.
Right. So I'll share the Q&A, but I also want to pretense by saying that what's actually included in the membership in terms of modules, as Joy said, was the archive of many iterations of Warrior Mystery School. So we're dealing with, as she said, the inner child, inner father wound, inner mother wound, ancestral cleansing, subtle body, emotional body healing and cleansing, as well as soul healing, soul development, and then psychic ability. So each month there's a different module, a different focus. So everything is gravitated around that. So in case anyone was wondering what we're actually discussing, is all of those different things focused on whatever is going on that particular month. And so for the live Q&A, that is a time for everyone that's in the membership gets an opportunity to ask questions to Joy and I. We do our best to answer. So within that whole month of the 2 modules that were released, after we have everyone has had their experience with the whatever activities we do for that month, the dream campouts, the game nights, the movie nights, the liberation ceremony, towards the end of that module when it's closing, you get an opportunity again to ask us any questions, any concerns, to open up the floor. And again, this is a really wonderful experience because not only are you getting answers from us, from our own experience, but you have the chance to cross-reference with classmates who may be experiencing similar things that you thought you were the only one, or vice versa. Someone asks a question that causes you to realize something that you never thought of before, or look at things from a very different perspective. So yeah, the live Q&A, like I said, is once a month, and you get time to ask Joy and I any questions, any clarity, any confusion, any things that you're dealing with for the module will still be available for that.
Yeah. So what we were really trying to do is something that feels supportive at any point of your life, right? And the community will be, the membership will be open for enrollment. And what we're recommending is for you to join at least 6 months. You give it 6 months to really see the transformation of having that support system, but also the support of healing tools, healing wisdom, teachings, and so on for at least 6 months. And if after 6 months it feels like it's incomplete for you, you can definitely leave. You can also come back if you want, but we are working with an annual membership, a 1-year membership, which you're committing to. And if you want to come back the next day, you can also do that. One of the limiting thing with the current iteration of Warrior Mistress Call was that it always was just a 1-year journey. And after 1 year, people feel cut off because they don't have the same space for community, for support. So I've always been trying to figure out how can I create that in a way that's continuous, and this is what the membership will be, right? So what I like to say is a little bit like church. You can go to church for 6 months, you can disappear, come back when you want. So it is a little bit like that, but a more intensive, holistic, healing, spirit-led community that is maybe a little progressive, right? In what we're trying to do is, out of the box. But we believe that this is what we need as we are stepping more and more into the healing journey, as we need that support, as we need community. A lot of people, this journey is heavy, especially if you are a lineage liberator. And it feels quite lonely sometimes to try to do it by yourself, and quite confusing, honestly. Reading all the information, listening to all the live streams, but still feeling like I don't know where to begin. So this is what we're doing. Like, the membership is to take you on that journey step by step. And one of the things that the Warrior Mistress School students have always said year after year is how well curated, like everything adds up. Like by the time you are in 6 months, you understand why you had to go through physical ascension, or why you had to go through the inner child before you can start doing ancestral work, right? And that's something that, we will be cultivating and allowing you to experience that again and again and again, right? So Lineage Liberator membership is also open, and we're beginning May 15th. And the investment, this is the lowest investment in our community, in our membership, because we really wanted to make it affordable. It's one to many, to allow as many people as possible to participate in this, so that you can receive the support that you need. Yeah.
Yes. So you brought up something that I wanted to remind myself and just say it. So as Joyce said, she had the container for Warrior Mystery School and current iteration and the previous iterations. But I always said, like, wonder, like, okay, after you graduate Warrior Mystery School and you're done, then what, right? Like, this particular membership allows numerous students that have participated in Warrior Mystery School that may not be active healers, but they still would like some type of support, the space to engage with someone who graduated maybe 2 years ago, with someone who graduated or is graduating this year. So even students that have completed the old iterations, it's still an opportunity for them to have some type of support healing system, a supportive community. And also, again, like I said, with all the things that we've created, that was my intent, was to create a community that you are constantly being supported through your evolution. As I said, the spiritual evolution is not a one and done process. When we have subjects like inner child healing, father wound, mother wounds, like those are things that you're not going to completely get done, yet alone in 1 year, 5 years. It might take you 3 years to go to the deeper aspects of a father wound, an inner child wound that is still playing out in your life because of our own blindness and bias that we have in the day-to-day life. You just need time and more support. So as Joyce said, we made this a low dollar amount, realizing that it takes time, it takes you being diligent, it takes you showing up, but it's also very helpful to have a community of people that are supporting you and are there that you can converse with. Again, trying my best to change that dynamic of just because you're on a spiritual evolution, it feels like you're alone and you don't have any friends or anyone to talk to. So that's all I wanted to add.
Yes. Amazing. So if you have any questions, feel free to send that question now, or raise your hand if you want to just speak, if that's much easier. Right. So as we are coming to the end of the symposium, just wanted to share with you all, like, our process. If you are interested in joining any of the courses that we have, in joining the membership, you will go to the website and you go to either our offerings, or you go directly to the Lineage Liberation or the workshops. So you can just check these three options to see the available courses that are there. And you can read through that, and you will find an application form which you can fill up. And at the end of each application form, except the workshop, you will have a calendar to book for your, I don't want to call it an interview, but it's just really a get to know, so we can see if things are really aligned, if this is the best course for you, the best offer for you, right? So we are really moving within the spirit of integrity and alignment and sovereignty and fair exchange as well, right? Because this is what we do, this is our full-time work, right? So we are wanting to make sure that everything is aligned in the sense of, like, this is, you're ready for this, you're committed to this, and you are at a state where you are able to actually afford this, and this will not create a stress for you as well along the journey, right? So this is something that we are inviting you to really think more deeply about when you are applying, um, but understand that it's a leap. You are being invited to take a leap, to commit to yourself, to choose yourself. And a lot of the time, it's so much easier to commit to the material things that we see in the world, but really, do we ever, leap for ourselves? So the conversation we will be having, the membership, you have that conversation with me and wife, will be to help you understand the even more what you may what you didn't understand, and for us to cross check if everything is aligned. Right, so you can do that. As of this moment, the applications are open and they will be open until May 15th. After May 15th, we will close our applications to all our offers, and we will have orientation week for all the Warrior Mystery School students for the first week, and then we'll start classes for each course after that. Right, so inviting you, if you already know that, okay, I want to do this, to apply as soon as you can, which will allow us to have those conversations with you and also allow you to prepare as well for each course, right? So we've given it this much 6 weeks for you to, yeah, to decide and to also just go through the process that I just stipulated right now, right? Yes. Do you have anything you wanted to say, Wef, before we close?
Nope, I think you did a wonderful job wrapping it up. I just will add that I'm happy to be here with everyone, happy to have this opportunity to share and be a part of this. So thank you, Joy, for having me.
Actually, what we are experimenting with the membership is that we are going to be having these live events at different days, so not always on the same day. And even time, we can look into that to see what will be the time as well. Right, so uh, typically we used to have classes for membership every Sunday, but that's going to change since our events, there are a couple of them, and we want to sometimes just give you, yeah, different experiences every week. And they also won't be for a long period of time, like before, like 3 hours, for example. Some sessions will be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, and so forth, right? So ideally, typically most of the time we do 6 p.m. because usually 6:30 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. Usually that's the best time for all people across the world because our students are from all around, right? So our 7 p.m. could be morning time for someone in the US and so on. So that's why it's usually at this time. Um, but yeah, we're gonna have different days, and in the events that you can join, of course, there will be replays available. Yeah. So you're saying, as a student in the current cohort of the mystery school, these offers just mean expansion for an extended period of time. Yes, that's what it really means. The membership is just an expansion of the current one that you're doing. Because we see the importance of the mystery school, and Tulile, I'm sure you can testify on, yeah, just how powerful the mystery school is, right? So we want to make sure that people experience that, but we wanted to do in a way that will also allow us to also continue to grow and expand in other aspects of the mystery school and our other aspects of life as well, right? So we believe this new expanded way with an extended period of time will be the most efficient way to work with us, to interact with our work. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry.
I was just telling Talila thank you for saying that, but yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Feel free, if you are still confused along the way, to reach us to reach out. Um, you can send us an email, or if you really cannot find that in the website, you can also just send me a DM, and I will send you to the right place or give you more clarity. Okay, but otherwise, everything, I believe that we have clarified everything, and we hope to see you all at the orientation week, either in this season or the next coming season of enrollment. Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.